And tonight on the Mac to the Future Go livecast, the street looks to see if the Apple TV Plus is a Netflix killer. Apple has a lot to prove about stuff. When is a credit card not a credit card, but not sure, but Apple is offering a credit card. And hey, why not spend more money each month on fun since you'll be broke having it tonight on the Mac to the Future Go livecast. Wow, I got it right this week. Amazing. I'm boogieing out to that song. I really love that song. It's such a great song. And there's my lower third. Hooray. So everything so far is working. I'm stunned. It just blows my mind. What do you think, Warren?
Hey, yeah, everything works.
Yeah, you're still, we need to change this.
Yeah,
you're not in Guatemala. You're not in Guatemala anymore.
So you're saying we need to break something?
Well, everything gets broken eventually.
That's why we exist.
That is why. That is the main reason why we exist. Let's see. I'm going to turn this one off. There we go. Okay.
I'm flying towards this. Okay.
There it goes.
Your head looks bigger than mine. I have to fix that. We need equal-sized heads. There we go.
That's an odd thing to say. And my camera is out of. Let's see. There we go. Had to move my camera a little bit, and I'm taller than you too. I'm sitting up higher. Hello. Hey, who do we got going on here? Hello, Cletus. Low, Cletus. How you doing?
Low, Cletus.
Oh man. After the heady days of last week, when it just seemed like there was release after release after release, iPads and
that's like me in the toilet.
Yeah, and now, we had the event this week, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the event tonight. Were you back from Florida? You have a squeaky chair too.
I do.
We have to see, this is why we need you guys to contribute to Patreon and coffee so that we can get new non-squeaky chairs. That's
WD-40 is not cheap, So yeah.
No, it's not. No, but I actually need to get, I think I talked about this on MyMac. This particular chair, I've had it for about 3 or 4 years. And it's not a bad chair. The problem is when I bought it, I didn't realize that it was not like a heavy duty chair, a chair built for someone of my stature and heft, shall we say? So there are chairs that advertise themselves as big and tall, and I think that's what I need to start looking at is chairs that are made for people who weigh in the general neighborhood of 300 pounds, which is kind of where I'm at these days.
So I get a chair story too. I get to sit at we have a kitchen island, which is my desk, because it's perfect. I'm in the kitchen, I can see a TV, and we had bar stools.
And you got the refrigerator is right there. See?
Yeah. So
live shot of your refrigerator.
Live from the kitchen.
From Warren's kitchen.
So anyways, we real fast, we had bar stools and they fell apart, so we got new ones.
Sure.
And they're nice and big and comfy. They do squeak, but they're much taller than the old ones. So I sat down with my computer, and I'm like, this is not going to work. I'm just kind of staring down at my computer.
What?
So I bought 2 of these for my laptops. And basically, it raises my computers up.
Yeah, like about 6-7 inches.
That was perfect. And then they swivel. That's why there's another one that this computer's on. It swivels, and that's why I could do these live rolling panoramic shots
I
of my
call
house.
BS because I don't see any refrigerator magnets.
This one doesn't accept magnet. It's magnet proof.
Oh, is it stainless steel?
Yeah, we tried. When we bought it, we're like,
this is the thing. This is the thing. If you have a family and you have kids,
yeah.
you have to have a refrigerator that accepts refrigerator magnets.
We bought it. We had all the magnets from the last one. We put one on there and fell like the floor.
Right to the floor.
We're like, what the hell is going on? It's metal. Metal hasn't changed, and it doesn't stick.
No, the metal did change.
What happened? Metal.
You went from a refrigerator that wasn't stainless steel to a refrigerator that is stainless steel.
But steel is still a metal.
It is, but some metal is more magnetically inclined than other metals.
It was very disappointing. And then we tried different tricks. We tried maybe putting we've seen you could get like a sticky thing of metal.
But those fall.
And it looks terrible. So we said forget it. So we ended up getting. I don't know if you could see it here. We had to get that thing in the way back at a distance. If you could see it, it's a magnet board where all the refrigerator magnets ended up on that magnet board in the back there. So it was.
Well, of course they did.
so there you go. That's
okay.
That's the story of my chair.
Well, I'm glad that we've spent at least 6 or 7 minutes talking about refrigerator magnets and chairs. That's a good thing. So again, my question is, were you in Florida during the Apple event or were you back home at that point?
I was home. I was in Florida when was it last
the
week
announcements from the week before. Yeah.
I got back.
Well, we were actually there at the same time, but you were hitting parks, and Tracy has no interest in parks.
Yeah. No, so we were there. I was there the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday when they were announcing things.
They were announcing things. We're a bunch of things.
Yeah, we got this thing and knew that. But I was back. I watched the announcement at home.
Are you happy that you watched it?
Nah,
were you excited about all the things that they announced?
It was almost 100% of what I expected it to be. It was a little more boring than I thought it was. Tim Cook it wasn't a good look for him.
Tim Cook is not a good presenter. He is, and I know a lot of people. The problem is, how do you follow up an act like Steve Jobs? And you can't.
It's not even that, but following up with not a lot to talk about. And I don't know if you in the beginning. Did you watch it too?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay, so in the beginning, the first few minutes, he says what are services? The dictionary defines service, and then it's as soon as you say that, that's the joke.
Here you go. You're trying to pad out 2 hours. When you open with that, yeah.
I think that was a joke on The Simpsons where Troy McClure had to say that is, what are fish? Webster defines fish as something like that.
Yeah.
It was bad, and then the whole A-list actor thing was weird. I thought. They came up and just kind of started talking about what they were doing, it was a new idea of
previewing shows.
Yeah, I mean it was.
Here's the thing. Back when I was a boy, the major American networks, for people who may or may not be watching this from overseas, used to do you would have a whole week of premieres for all of the new shows that you had coming out. And the night before the new shows would come out, they would do this half-hour show where it would be, and a good example was one from, it was the mid-'60s. They had Bob Denver and Alan Hale from Gilligan's Island in costume, but like backstage at CBS. And they were there to introduce some of the new shows. Now, I mean, they introduced themselves as Bob Denver and Alan Hale, but they were pretty much in character as Gilligan and the Skipper. And they're doing, little bits and, stuff was falling over. And then they started to talk about Hogan's Heroes, which was a new show coming on CBS that year. And, this is what they would do. They would just kind of go back. They wouldn't bring out the stars of the show. They would talk about, okay, well, here's this new show and it stars these people. And then they would show like a 30 to 45 second clip or like a little preview of that show. And then they would come back to those two guys and they would talk about the next show. And when you're trying to introduce a lot of new content and a lot of new television, for lack of a better term, you don't want to drag out all of these people that are on this show and give them 5 to 10 minutes to talk about a show that at that point doesn't really exist yet. You give people the bare minimum of what they need to know about the show, who the people are, kind of a brief plot synopsis, and then you move on. You don't give them the whole spiel. I mean, that entire thing, that almost seemed like an agent or a writer who is trying to sell a show to a network, as compared to, this is a show that we're going to make and it's already been budgeted for. You don't have to sell the network. You have to sell the audience, and you don't sell the audience by boring the crap out of them for 10 minutes.
What they were going for was, if you watch the awards shows, the Academy and I think it was the Oscar Awards. During the Oscar Awards, they'll have people who aren't in a particular movie talk about the movie that they're, that they showcase in that one. So the last one was basically, if you remember, Wayne and Garth came out to talk about Bohemian Rhapsody, and they went with Bohemian Rhapsody tells a story of from Freddie Mercury, blah, blah, and they go on, and they're kind of in like, they kind of go like that. So that was what it felt like, and that's what I think what they were going for. It
was not well done. No, it was not well. And honestly, the very, and we're going to talk about the first story right here. Let me bring up the little cheaty thing I've got there. The first story is one that I saw in the street, and and they have, well, they had Big Bird, so why not? I
don't think it was Big Bird. His voice sounded way different. Okay.
No. Well, it's a different guy now. What confused me about the stories like this from the street is they keep talking about how Apple needs to come out with a service that's going to kill Netflix. And what this reminds me of was all of those stupid stories from the early 2000s about how all these other companies were coming out with iPod killers. And then once the phone came out, how they were all coming out with iPhone killers. It's like, I know this might be difficult for analysts and investors to grasp, but it is possible. I know, crazy, that you can have two semi-competing services, because quite frankly, the Apple TV Plus service and Netflix aren't the same thing, and they can both be successful. They can, or one can fail and the other one can go to even greater heights. You don't have to come out with a service that's going to kill something else. And it's this stupid hype that just...
It's a click thing. I mean, something killer is nothing new, and it's not just Apple. I mean, if Ford came out with a Tesla killer, they would write that. If Wendy's came out with a McDonald's killer, they would, anything that's anything. No, that's a better one. Anything that's compared to another thing. Right. Yeah. Well, anything that's on the top of its on the top of its game, something else that looks promising is going to be some kind of killer. Right. So that's what they're saying.
And that just Netflix, makes no sense to me.
And to be honest with you, there's not going to be a Netflix killer. It's just some evolution's going to take over, and something else will come along and go. Netflix won't be around forever. There's nothing will. So.
Well, yeah, no, nothing will.
Yeah. Yeah. Crash hand. What?
Say what?
I don't know. Marcus.
All right, so that was the first thing. So we barely really know anything about the Apple TV Plus service, other than it's going to have a couple of these shows. It's going to have some other network content, but we don't even know how much it's going to cost and whether they're going to bundle it with. I mean, that was the thing that I thought they were going to talk about.
Right.
Not so much all these new TV shows. Yeah, they wanted to know. Okay, okay, we understand that you're going to have Jennifer Aniston in a morning news show, and you're going to have these people in his show and that people in his show. What are you bundling with the service? What are you also going to bring to it as far as some of your other services go? Are you going to include this with the news service or Apple Music or things along that line? And they gave us nothing. There was really, and they didn't even tell us how much the basic news service was going to cost.
No, that they did. That's the only thing.
I'm sorry, not the news service, the TV service.
Yeah. So TV. So a beta came out today, by the way, for iOS, and there's a new TV app on the beta. And in a TV app, it gives you a little bit more clues because you can subscribe to a couple things. You get it free for a month or a couple weeks. But HBO is coming up and Showtime are coming up. There's something you could subscribe through Apple. Through. Yeah,
what the hell was that?
My ring alarm.
Make it stop.
I did. So $9.99 a month through Apple to subscribe to HBO or Showtime's online dealio thing. So that's a little.
Are you talking about? Is this through the Apple TV Plus service?
It's through the app. So there's two services. There's Apple TV, which is which is a service now. It's not the device. Apple TV includes content that you could get through things that are either free, that maybe have the ABC app and it ties into that. Obviously, Netflix doesn't do it. And now you can subscribe to channels through Apple TV, such as HBO. So you're paying. There's an app called Apple TV. You're paying for HBO, and now you're paying whatever through, and you get to see that through that. That's Apple TV. Apple TV Plus is the Jennifer Aniston original content kind of stuff. That's different.
All right. So why did they roll this out as two different services?
Because they're completely different things. One's original content.
Well, not really. I mean, original content is fine, but I mean, you basically just call the whole thing Apple TV Plus, and then it comes with XYZ as far as content goes. And then if you want to add other content, it's just more of what they're offering through the Plus service.
Feedback at apple.com. I don't know. I have no idea why they did that, but that's what it is. There's Apple TV, which is an app that encompasses, it tries to tie together as many apps that you have installed from free content and now a certain amount of paid content through Apple TV. And then there's that's true. Derek says
there's not Netflix and Netflix Plus. It's Netflix. And and I believe you can get HBO and Showtime and some of those other ones. You can't get them through Netflix. You get them through Hulu.
Maybe I don't have Hulu.
I think you can get them through. There's some service that regardless, the Apple TV and Apple TV Plus. This is the service that they're also pushing to smart TV platforms, and now also to Roku and the Fire TV.
There's only one app. There's only an Apple TV app. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
but the Apple TV.
What do you think is going to happen to the actual Apple TV hardware? You think that's going to go away? It's never been a big seller.
I don't know. People are asking that. Do I think it's going to go away? I think it's going to re-evolve more, because I think, and what I hope is, they're trying to do more with it, such as Apple Arcade. Apple Arcade is supposed to be cross-platform, meaning you can play it on your computer, your Mac, or your Apple TV. And that could be a thing too, because if the Apple TV does more than just watch watch video, then it's
Yeah.
not going to survive, because it's not a thing anymore. And almost any TV out there in the next year or two will be able to watch Apple TV. Now, not every TV will be able to play Apple Arcade or even Apple Music at this point. So it has some things that you can't get on Apple TV. Now,
Okay.
again, Apple is doing everything they can to push their services out to everybody, no matter what device you have. So Apple is in the game now of not caring what device you listen to their music on, watch their TV app on. I think that's it. That's the only cross-platform stuff they have now, right?
Well,
So what's
iTunes.
left? Well, music. That's it. So music and movies and TV is all cross-platform.
And the news app. I mean, none of this.
No,
I mean, these are all services.
Yeah, stop there.
Okay.
That's there's. Let's count the services now. We got Apple TV.
Right.
We got Apple Music / iTunes. We got Apple News. We have Apple Arcade.
Well, some of these we don't have yet.
No, but that's coming. That was announced, right? So the only thing that's cross-platform right now is Apple Music, and soon to be Apple TV, right? That's the only thing. Apple News is not cross-platform. It's only on Mac hardware.
There's right no reason why it couldn't be.
I know, but that's, as of now, that's what it is. And Arcade, Apple Arcade is only Mac. So as of now, that's the only two things left. Will Apple open that up to more stuff? That's a little tougher. You can't put Apple Arcade on everything that's not on the Mac, because it's written in Marzipan, which is going to be the cross-platform.
Right, the bridge between iOS and macOS.
Right. Apple News, probably, if Apple News takes off and then hundreds of thousands of people are paying the $10 a month to get their newspapers, you will better believe that it's going to be on Android or Kindle devices and Windows devices. Wherever they could get Apple News on is going to get it. It's not there yet, probably because they need to see how it's going to do.
Okay.
I think.
Well,
what do you think? Do you agree, disagree?
Apple has done some really odd things over the last couple of years with this emphasis on services over hardware. So I have no idea what Apple's going to do next. And I don't want to act like those analysts that like to pretend that they know exactly where they're going, where Apple's going, and then when they're wrong later on, never admit the fact that they were wrong. I still, honestly, I still think that Apple is moving toward an open platform where, they're not using Intel chips. They're using their own specially designed ARM chips for iOS and the Mac OS, and eventually those are going to merge. But that's so far into the future, and so many different things can happen that it's not even worth talking about right now.
That has nothing to do with services. If you focus on Apple's services, which is definitely what they're focusing on, how important is Apple hardware going to be to the company going forward? Apple TVs, Macs.
Apple TVs are going to be, I don't think, important at all. I don't think that a lot of the stuff that they're selling today, I don't think is going to be all that important.
Right. So the only
who would have thought 20 years ago that IBM would just completely abandon the computer market? Nobody had, if you'd said that 20 years ago, people would have had your blood checked for what kind of drugs you were on. and they went completely to services. And I get this nagging feeling in the back of my mind that hardware more and more is becoming a commodity rather than something that's truly innovative, and that we're not that far away from when, it's all just one big blob as far as hardware goes. Anyway,
I've said it before. My bottom line is Apple's going to do everything in their power to get some kind of screen in front of your face. That's all they need to do, and they don't care whose screen it is or what screen it is at this point.
Right, it's their content, or the content they control.
Yeah, they'll hardwire it into your brain if they can, and they just don't care about the hardware as much as that content.
Okay, next story. The Verge thinks that Apple has a lot to prove based on promises that they made at that announcement. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they really made that many promises. There was, I mean, this was a 2-hour event that said a lot without really saying anything. As far as content goes, we'll get to what I thought was the most exciting part of the presentation in just a minute. But I think that kind of like the street, The Verge doesn't really understand what exactly happened in that announcement, and they don't know how to treat it. This is more stuff along the lines of, we have to say something about it because people expect us to, but they don't know. So there was no subscription service announcement as far as bundling services go, which is what The Verge was kind of talking about. And it,
the analysts are just as confused as we are at this point. They're like, well,
but they still have to say something.
Well, they have a job. Same with tech writers have a job. Same with people who have live casters.
Except we don't get paid.
No, iJustine and all those people. They have jobs, and their job is to figure out what just happened. And
Apple's not giving them much.
We all kind of left there with our mouths open, saying, "Well, we kind of knew all this was going on, and we're happy we saw Oprah because
because
Oprah, I guess.
Oh yeah,
she's But I know. But
there wasn't keys to a new car underneath my seat at work, so I was disappointed.
Or Steve Jobs, I think, used to put Macs under people's chairs at the keynotes, and they just
not that they say that, but I can't recall that ever happening in the few years that I actually went to.
It did happen
Apple
once because the guy I used to work for one of the Apple specialty stores said he was at one, and it happened. Steve Jobs said he looked over there and it was like a Mac E2 or something. So it did happen at least once because he told me the story about it. But
okay,
but yeah, that would have been fun if Oprah said, "Look under your chairs. You get a MacBook Pro. You get a MacBook Pro. You get a MacBook Pro.
All 10,000 people in this auditorium get a MacBook Pro." Oh!
People's heads starts exploding.
Yeah, well, it's okay because then I could have gotten their MacBook Pros. All right, moving on to what I thought was the most exciting part. They and it was weird. They opened the show talking about Apple Pay and some of the changes that they're bringing to Apple Pay. And that Apple's coming out with this credit card, and honestly, I purposely keep myself credit card not so much credit card free because I have like 3 or 4 cards, but I don't go crazy with credit cards. I don't get a lot of credit cards because I don't want a lot of credit cards. But I'm going to get an Apple credit card because the damn thing just looks so freaking cool. This is a tiny slab of titanium, and the only thing on it is the chip, your name etched in the titanium, and an Apple logo. There is no account information. There is no CCV number. There is no expiration date. And go ahead.
I made a post on I think Mac Rumors site the other day, and I said, what I say? So Johnny Ive should have narrated the video that they showed with the card and said something like, "We we took the finest piece of titanium, rounded the edges to create this beautiful thing." So yeah, I wanted to. I'm not going to use it. But wait, stay there. I'm going to show you something. Hold on.
What are you doing, man?
I'm showing you something.
You can't just get up in the middle of a live cast.
I did. So
you did.
This is here. This is my American Express card, or yeah, my Amex. What is it? Amex.
Okay.
All right. It is actually metal, solid piece of metal. So they exist. You know, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's you know, the front's pretty clear. It still has numbers and all that. But yeah, I mean, they exist out there. Apple's not the first one to come out with a metal credit card.
No, it's not. That was just it was a cool presentation the way they did it.
Oh yeah,
but going beyond that,
I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to get one.
It's a relatively low interest rate. You know, it's basically industry standards. The cashback rewards are generally pretty generous, and it adds up every single day. You can always check your balance. You can always check how much you've got either going in or going out. You can apply the cash back to your balance. I mean, and these are all things that as he was talking, it was like, you know, those are pretty good ideas. So they're basically going to create sort of their own bank, but in this particular case, they're partnering with who is it? Not Barclays, Goldman Sachs. And MasterCard. Yeah. So this is basically a MasterCard, but it's an Apple MasterCard. But how far away are we from Apple having their own bank?
If Apple could get people excited about this credit card thing,
I was excited. I have to admit,
that's pretty amazing. Though, like that's like if aliens landed on the planet and saw us getting excited about a credit card, they would laugh at us, kind of thing.
They would just bombard us from orbit and human life as we know it.
Probably that too. But yeah, to get excited, the most exciting thing being the credit card in that presentation, that's a bad thing. That's not a good thing. It's true. I want that card too. I don't want to use it. I just want the card. But to get excited about it, to get excited.
Well, the fact that was like one of the most exciting parts of the entire presentation is kind of sad. I mean, that says a lot about the presentation right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Even more so than like the games announcement. And it almost seemed like they were really, really trying to elicit applause from the crowd that was there. And I think it was mostly just to make sure they stayed awake. You know, at some point.
The crowd all came to see Jennifer Aniston and all them. That's the only reason they came, I think.
All right. Well then, let's hit the last part that I have here for stories.
Yep.
And talk about their game subscription. This is a story from Touch Arcade. They've got a list of the games that will be on Apple's game subscription service, most of which I've never heard of, though some of the demos look kind of cool. Pricing and regions available have not yet been announced. And that was like a running theme throughout a lot of this presentation is they're like, okay, well, here's this thing. And when is it coming out? It's going to be soon. It's going to be in the fall. It's going to be this year. Okay, how much is it going to cost? It's not going to cost that much. Oh, okay. Is it going to be just in the United States or is it going to be everywhere? It'll be coming soon. It's like, what? You know, come on, give us a little more than that. Did you get a chance to look at this particular?
I did. I looked at the list you sent. Other than Sonic, I didn't recognize anything on that list. There's a couple Sonic spin-offs and maybe a couple Lego things in there.
Yeah, there's like Lego Art House, Lego Brawls.
Right. So
Frogger and Toy Town.
Frogger, it's not. See, if it was just classic Frogger, I would pay like $100 a month.
Well, it's like a 3D version of Frogger.
I saw it, but yeah. I love Frogger. Oh, what a game. Um, this game, so the game thing will only take off if there's a killer game. If there's one game that the kids start playing and they start talking to their parents and say, I need to play Frogger 3D or whatever it is, then it will start to happen. But until
Well,
nobody's going to subscribe to it.
they need like a Fortnite type of success.
Right, but it needs to, it needs to be organically happen. It's not going to just happen. Nobody's going to really subscribe, or very few people can subscribe before there's a reason to. It's an unknown. It's not like a news service where you know what you're getting. You're getting Mac magazine or whatever, or Mac
Well,
Life or whatever.
they have tried not so much. It wasn't so much a gaming service. It was supposed to kind of be a social media thing with involving iOS games. What was that called?
Yeah, Game Center. It was horrible.
Game Center. Yeah, and nobody used it.
It was annoying. Yeah, everybody turned it off. But that was more of a you
against
competed,
friends and things like that.
Stuff like
but
that.
But it was static. It wasn't like you were actually sitting down and you were both looking at the same game and playing. It was like, I got this score. Can you beat this score?
Yeah,
I don't know. Can you beat this score?
So the arcade, if it starts to work, it's going to be good because the parents, it's going to be best for kids around between 7 and 12 years old, because those are the ones that come to mommy and daddy every other day and say, I want to buy this game, I want to buy that game. So this is going to be the kind of thing where they're just going to subscribe to and say, you're going to play whatever's in that subscription, and that's what you get to play with.
But that's like everything. I mean, you get this game subscription and you get all the games that are available, and you can play it on the Mac, you can play it on your iPhone, you play it on your Apple TV.
You only get the games but only the ones they curate. So if everybody's playing Fortnite and that's not part of it, then you're out of luck. You got to.
Well, yeah, you'll be by yourself.
Well, no.
More or less.
No, because right. This is for parents. This is for parents to be able to tell their kids, listen, I'm paying $10 a month. These are the games you're going to play. Don't come to me asking for money to buy more games for now.
Well, how do you think this is going to compare with what Google's trying to do with Stadia, which is kind of a similar service?
It's some kind of streaming service of games. I think it's a streaming service of established games that they're doing. It's different.
So right? More like it. So they're competing more like with Steam as compared to whatever Apple's trying to do.
It's not even.
Is that Steam. A gaming service? Is Stadia a gaming subscription service?
Yeah, it's basically it's a streaming version of Steam is what it is. So instead of when you go on Steam or you go on I forget what the other ones are called, but you go on there and you actually subscribe, or you could buy games from there. It actually downloads the games to your machine and you play it. This is the new thing that they're trying to do is streaming games, where
so it doesn't matter whether you have compatible hardware or not.
Right. So you could play on any kind of device, even old computers and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it's all browser based.
It's all browser based, but it's supposed to play processor intensive games as well.
Well, the thing that I thought was cool, I mean, we're getting totally off the Apple gaming thing, but I think that's mostly because we really don't have any idea what it is they're going to try to do with it. What I kind of found impressive about the Stadia service, and this is something that should have Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony kind of shaking in their boots, is the only hardware that I can recall seeing was a controller that you can use to play these Stadia games. And the thing is, you don't even have to have that controller like connected to your laptop or desktop or whatever it is that you're playing it on. It's connected through Wi-Fi back to the service. So it's like you're at your computer and your laptop is connected via Wi-Fi to get the images from the game on your computer. Well, your controller isn't connected to your computer. It's connected back to the same server that you're seeing the game on. Yeah, so I guess that's to try to work with lag or work against lag.
It's Marcus, what does that even mean? Um,
He's being mean.
I don't even understand. How do I get to one? Anyways,
This is the live feed.
Whatever. The whole problem with the streaming game service is lag. That's the only problem that they have. So, they got once the internet catches up to that and they fix it, then it should
Well,
be
they're
fine.
saying if you have a 60 to 80 megabit connection, that that should be good enough for probably most of the games that they're going to have. Of course, that's all marketing because we haven't seen any of it yet.
I read an article, somebody had tested and said it didn't do so well.
It didn't do so well?
There's too much lag. He couldn't play. With these games, when we're browsing the internet or listening to music and there's like a little stutter, like a delay, life goes on. In games, when that happens, somebody shoots and blows your head off. So it's
God, I hate when that happens.
Yeah, so the lag is the problem. So in gaming, you can have zero lag because that will kill you or screw up your game.
All right. I think we're going to end this. There wasn't really a whole lot going on last week, and I think that announcement just took a lot of wind out of a lot of people's sails, including my own. If you would like to get a hold of me, you can do so quite easily by sending me an email to guy@mymac.com. You can also contact me on the Twitters. I am Mac Parrot and or Vert Shark over there on the Twitters. You can find the stuff that I write over at mymac.com or vertshark.com. I actually just posted, or it just got posted, not quite a review, more like a first look at Mimo Live, the software that I've been using here every single week to do the live casting. And it, as most of the problems that I've had, I know this will come as a shock, have been self-inflicted. The software itself is pretty solid, and it is really, really good. If you're a live streamer, this is probably the easiest, most powerful software that you can find for the money. If you would like to help support the things that I do, you can do a one-time donation over at ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or become a regular Patreon over there at patreon.com/MacParrot. That would be a greatly, greatly appreciated. If you would like to get a hold of Warren, well, you got to do that over there on the Facebooks. It's got to be done over there. The Mac to the Future Facebook group is a great place to get a hold of Warren, and I'm sure Marcus wants to talk to Warren all the time. I was
going to say, yeah, I'm sure Marcus is,
all the time.
Can't wait to talk to me at this point.
Now, so. David Ginsburg wasn't here this week, but if you would
He's in
like
Vegas.
to see, I know
Vegas. I want to be.
What the hell is up with that? He does a podcast called In Touch with iOS. You can find out more information about that in iTunes or over at intouchwithios.com. He also does a off the charts horse racing podcast that he does with a friend of his, off the charts horseracing.com. You can find them both in iTunes. I don't know why that says iTunes X.
I was just looking at that. Yeah,
DDX. I'm going to fix that. Get rid of that.
Oh,
Boop, doop, doop.
Yeah.
There. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it did that. That was weird. All right. So
cat. I think there was a cat on the keyboard.
Was there? Oh, I hate when that happens.
It has to be.
Damn cats. No, I actually close the door to the cave before I do this show. So that is going to do it for tonight. Thank you all for downloading, or not downloading, but actually watching this live. Sometime probably tomorrow I will have the slightly edited version of this show, and it will be fabulous. It'll be fabulous, man. Simply fabulous. I'm going to do a quick switch screen here if I can find it. I know I'm here somewhere. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. There we go. Okay. Whoa, what just happened? Turn that off. And now we got nothing. There. We're back. So that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you next time on the Mac to the Future livecast. Say goodnight, Warren.
Good night, Warren. I'm out of here.